Law school has been a lifelong dream. It was something that I had wanted to do from a very early age, and that was the career path that I had set upon. When I left from high school and went on to undergraduate school at Hope College, I studied history and political science, and really that was to set myself up for later legal studies. It's not only the traditional approach, but it was an area that I loved. So it fit for me, and everything seemed to fall into place. Towards the end of undergraduate school, as you look forward towards law school with an additional commitment of time and energy, I at that time was married and had a young daughter. And so, life kind of creeps in there and you have to do some other things. And at that point, I had started volunteering for the Holland Police Department as a reserve police officer. And my reason for doing that was this. I had wanted to prosecute and be on that side of the criminal justice system as an attorney. And I thought, what better way to understand the police practice that occurs in our communities if I actually did some of that work? Well, lo and behold, I really enjoyed it. I loved the police-citizen interactions. I loved law at that level. And really, that's dynamic. It's more than just the criminal law that police officers engage citizenry in. It's the whole gamut of things. And so I really, really loved that work. And so looking ahead, I thought, I love law. I love law enforcement. And at this point, I think I was going to go on and be a police officer. And that's exactly what I did. So what drew me to Cooley Law School was this, the availability, the accessibility. The location in Grand Rapids for me was awesome. It allowed me to continue my work here at Public Safety, provide stability for my family, and really, that whole path from completing undergraduate in '98, moving into a career in law enforcement, and then, when the accreditation for Grand Rapids campus came up, it was perfect timing. I was well settled in my career, things were going great here at Public Safety, and now it was time for me to go back and do what it was that I had set about so many years ago. And Cooley, with the scheduling operations, going from morning classes to afternoon to evening to weekends, for someone who works night shift, patrolling the streets, it was fantastic. And so many doors have been opened for me, and the ease with which someone who's working nights and has to respond to court and the different scheduling, we work all different days and Christmas and holidays, I don't really know of another way that I could have done it but for the scheduling options. And Cooley worked with me on lots of different levels. There's different programmings that they have set up and different scheduling options, and I was able to take advantage of all of them. Coupled with Kalamazoo Public Safety, helping me with different positions here at the department to free up different times, allowing me to move from night shift to day shift to teach a class with high schoolers who are interested in becoming public safety officers in the future, allowing me to teach that program, really allowed me then to settle into my studies. So from the last couple of years that I was taking classes, it was tough. But you know what? When you have an organization like Public Safety and a school like Cooley that really want to see people succeed, that's where it all comes together. So hard work aside from it, you get that kind of support and really, really gave me the opportunity to expand and get to some place that I never could have seen myself but for Cooley. So my training and education, my law degree through Thomas M. Cooley Law School, has done for me, not only personally but professionally, built me into a better person. Your legal training through Cooley Law School sets you up to understand problems in a much different way. I take that education and I couple it with my law enforcement. I really enjoy that work. Really, law enforcement is the connection between police and the citizenry, and they're dynamic. There's all different kinds of events. There's not just the criminal element. There's all sorts of civil elements that go along with it. And so what I found is that my understanding of the law as an attorney, coupled with my passion for interactions with people on a daily basis, it's the perfect world. It's practicing law every day with people who are struggling and having difficult situations across the board. And Kalamazoo is a wonderful community. There's all different kinds of things going on in this community. And I tell you what, having that background allows me to interact with people in a much different way than I could if I was just a police officer. And not to diminish that work, but it broadens my eyes and my perspective and my approach to so many more different issues. So having said that, being at public safety now only in my 11th year, starting in 2005, I have been able to promote to the rank of sergeant, and now I'm a lieutenant. I've held this position for about 6 months, and most people will tell you to achieve that rank in 10 years is a pretty fast track. But I believe it's because the work that I've done, the work that I can do, is appreciated, and public safety wants that kind of thing to continue. So by setting myself apart really from all the rest of the candidates that's there, has allowed me to progress so quickly. And it really is a wonderful intersection of my love of law enforcement and my love of law and the practice of it as an attorney. It's one of those things that I don't think that you can really find another area where you can work so closely with people on such a broad scale and such a wide spectrum, and then be able to manage those situations. And so it's one of those things that when I went to law school, I never once thought that I was going to leave law enforcement, because there is a need there for that expertise on a daily basis. Everything from minor civil complaints all the way up to your most violent felonies. And I am able to work with those across the board and bring my legal experience and understanding of the law to public safety to help us better serve the community. And it's awesome. I really enjoy it. So while at Cooley, they set me up for success. And I'll tell you what they did. They taught me how to look at a problem, any problem really, and then apply this specific set of skills to look at what the law says, examine policy, and then give direction on any side of that issue. Sometimes we in law enforcement get stuck by seeing it only from one side, and that can lead to a lot of frustration because we want to have certain outcomes. What law school has taught me to do is to examine things from all different sides and see really why people have different points of view. And that's very, very helpful, because I have, I think, a greater understanding and compassion for different views. We may agree to disagree at the end, and that's okay. But in examining it from all different angles and being able to really see those points and then mesh it in with what the law says and how we have to behave ourselves in society allows me to kind of give credence to different thoughts. I take it, if we look at some of the social media issues that are going on and the dynamics and the push and pull that law enforcement is experiencing with culture and society, we see some back and forth and some misapprehensions. But at the end of the day, I can also sit back and say expression of the First Amendment right to free speech and expression is something that we cherish and something that I really love and I will support. Albeit it may not always be something I want to hear, but it is something that people say, and I'll support that endeavor. And so I get to bring that perspective to our agency and then implement policies and procedures and approaches to handling different dynamic situations that occur in the community today. And so that's what Cooley gave me, was an appreciation for the fact that others may disagree, and then finding out how to wrap my mind around how those different perspectives may come to be, and then allowing them to have that avenue for venting or for sharing information. And really it's an academic exercise in understanding different folks. And for me, that has been huge. Well, currently as a lieutenant assigned to the operations division, my role is one more step removed from the actual patrol operation. So in my early career as a patrol officer, you took calls for service, you made traffic stops, enforced speed law violations, things like that. A lot of daily interactions with folks. And it was great having been an attorney at that level, because I could bring that experience, that expertise to the table as I dealt with people. And as they brought issues up that were really outside the criminal realm, but I had familiarity with. And then as a sergeant, you then have control of yourself in some of those interactions, but also those who you command. So those numbers are 3 to 4. And so your effect gets wider. And now as a shift commander, as a lieutenant assigned to the operations division, that really goes out over 35 people on any given day. So I'm able to assist the officers, the sergeants, that staff in interacting with citizens by giving them more information and really being a resource to them. And then of course there's the training and education aspect that goes along with that. And as different dynamic situations occur, we work through those. And I feel that my broader experience makes me more, or at least sometimes better capable to get a bigger picture. And that's something that I bring to the agency every single day. And it really, really is fun. It may not be the formal practice of law as an attorney, but as a lieutenant, I have my hands on a lot of different dynamic situations with an eye towards helping people on a daily basis. And that is really fun. So as lieutenant and as an employee of public safety, one of the most exciting things that I've been given the opportunity to do, and really I do believe it's because I am an attorney and I do have that credibility. And when people listen to you and they know you're a lawyer, it really elevates their opinion of what it is that you're going to say. And so, one, be cautious, but two, know that you can use that platform to share a really positive message. And so in 2008, I had a great opportunity to take a class through public safety. Chief Hadley at this department brought with him crisis intervention team training. And what that gets at is police interactions with mentally ill subjects who are in crisis. And the idea is to de-escalate the situation, seek positive outcomes by having relationships with those in the community who are already working with them. Clinicians, social workers, there are lots of social systems already in place. But we find that we miss each other. So when we engage a citizen, we may not know what's going on with that person before the call or after we drive away. And so what we've done is we've created a crisis intervention team here in Kalamazoo, and we're now linking those resources. And so we regularly train large classes, 40 officers at a time, and have built a crisis intervention team so that when we do have those crises, officers have the right understanding because we've trained them in mental health issues. Two, we've coupled that with de-escalation training, and that's our primary focus. When we encounter a situation, we want to take it from whatever it is and calm everything down, because then we reduce the probability for violence. Officer safety is improved, and treatment and care of the individual in crisis is improved. And those are really the hallmarks of what a good program is. And what's been great is being able to then take that format that we have in Kalamazoo through the state. And there's a jail diversion committee under Lieutenant Governor Calley that uses this as a point of intercept because they find that in prisons they have a large population of mentally ill. So for some offenses, we can't do anything about that. Some of them are egregious, and incarceration is really our only option. So my family is a tremendous support, and I can go back to when I was registering for Cooley Law School. At the time, I was, working as a patrol officer, assigned a night shift, and there was going to be a big change in life. And so I had to sit down with my wife, and we talked about it. And we knew that it was going to be a life-changing, life-altering event for several years. And basically came down to this. If you're willing to do it and put the work in, my wife said that I'm willing to do everything else, and we'll get it done. And so I knew right then that I had the support of my wife. But then I also have two children. My daughter, Alana, who is now 20, and she's a junior at Western. And my son, who's 13, going to be 14 in a couple of weeks. He was a little bit smaller, but I went to them also. And I said, how do you think or feel about me taking this on? I said, I'm going to need a lot of time to study. And they both looked at me and said, Dad, if that's what you want to do, let's do it. And they probably said it way cuter than I just did. But I knew that I had the support of my family. And so when you go into that and you know that you're going to be working full time, and then almost all of the extra time that you have will be studying, I knew that they were going to suffer in some way. But not suffer in a bad way, because they knew and they were supporting me. So what I did to try to balance that was really, quite frankly, anything that I had outside of school, work, or family was gone. I still haven't picked up the game of golf since. But that was okay, because I wanted to have dinner time. And so I'd encourage anybody who's looking at that to make sure that you carve out time for your family. And regardless of how busy you are at work or school, if that doesn't work, then it's all wasted. And I'll tell you that, between dinner times, put the books up, put them to the side, sit down, eat dinner, watch a show, and then when they go to bed, get back at it. So sleep kind of went by the wayside a little bit, but that's okay. But you really have to make sure that you bring them along. And the strength that you get from your family when you know that they support you, and it's not dad's just doing this and he doesn't get it and he's not there for us. I tell you what, I get a lot of strength from my family. And even during those years, I coached my daughter in softball and soccer, and my son in baseball and soccer, because I love coaching. I mean, really to spend time with your children at the thing that's, really outside school. You can only volunteer at school so much. When they get middle school, they don't want to see you anymore. But, those older grades, that's a great opportunity to spend time with them. And, you can really tackle anything when you have that base support. And for me, I was truly blessed because my wife and my daughter and my son have always stood behind me and with me and kind of given me pushes. Like, hey, Dad, shouldn't you be studying? Yeah, but, why don't you get after it? And so, I've had tremendous family support. And I'm very thankful that they're with me. And, that's two ways, too. They saw me modeling good study habits, punctuality, dedication, and then I asked that same thing from them. So it's a two-way street, and we both benefited tremendously.